Type 1 diabetes. So, a quick introduction. Type 1 diabetes happens when the immune system destroys cells in the pancreas, which those cells would be called beta cells, which make up insulin. This disease is also called juvenile or insulin-dependent diabetes. Glucose levels aren't stable because of the unworking pancreas, and it's a rare disease, but about 5% of people with diabetes will have type 1. And you can still live a normal, happy life if managed correctly with diet and exercise. So, discussing the etiology. So, the pancreas is a gland that secretes insulin into the bloodstream. Insulin circulates sugars to enter the cells and lower the amounts in the blood. In type 1 diabetes, there's no insulin produced to let glucose in cells. So, sugar builds up in the bloodstream, and this is where it can cause life-threatening complications. The cause is not 100% known. However, there are some proven facts and statistics to help us understand how this disease can happen. Some of these causes include viral infection, genetics, and there are some other theories. So, discussing the viral infection, this invades the body. The immune system produces antibodies or T cells that make the antibodies to help fight off the virus. So if the virus has the same antigen as the beta cells, which are the cells that make up insulin in the pancreas, the T cells turn against the beta cells. So then the beta cells are destroyed and then the body cannot produce insulin. And this process usually takes many years from the original viral infection that is thought to trigger these T cells to destroy the beta cells. Some of these viruses include German measles, mumps, and there's others that may be linked to this. Here's just a diagram of the T cells attacking and destroying the pancreatic beta cells. So the other etiology would be some genetics. People need to inherit risk factors from both parents. It cannot just be from the mother or the father. It's most common in white, and people can develop this who have a particular human leukocyte antigen complex, which would be found in the DNA makeup. This antigen function is to trigger an immune response in the body, which this links us back to the theory of the viral infection being the cause. Some other theories that are found would be cold weather. Studies have shown that it develops more often in winter than in summer and is more common in people that live in colder climates. And another one would be early diet. Statistics show that is less common in people who are breastfed. So effects on the organs and organ systems. It can affect heart, blood vessels, nerves, eyes, kidneys, and there's others shown in this picture. It can obviously affect a lot of different things in the body. So diabetics have an increase of many different types of problems. So talking about cardiovascular disease, they can have heart attacks, stroke, chest pains, and high blood pressure. It can also affect the blood vessels, the walls can be damaged. And this is important because it supplies nourishment to the nerves in the body. And the body, or throughout the body, the nerves can be affected anywhere, but it's especially found in the legs. If nerves are not getting the nourishment that they need, this can cause numbness and tingling pain. It usually starts at the toes and progresses its way upward in the body. Nerve damage in the feet make cuts and blisters hard to heal and cause serious infection, and with the worst case scenario, amputation of toes or foot or even the leg. This can also make an individual experience gastrointestinal problems like vomiting and diarrhea, and for men, erectile dysfunction, and for women, it can affect the reproductive and urinary. So with the urinary, that would be high levels of yeast, and for women with having pregnancy, this can be dangerous to the mother and the baby. There was risks of miscarriage, stillbirth, and increased birth defects. The biggest issue would be high blood pressure, which can cause someone to go into labor early. So discussing signs and symptoms, they can come quickly and are caused most often by high blood sugar. Many people and even doctors overlook these symptoms for another illness, and this is usually detected in children and in young adults. Here you can see that low blood sugar, some of the symptoms would be sweating, trembling, dizziness, mood changes, hunger, headaches, blurred vision, extreme tiredness, and paleness. And high blood sugar, you would see dry mouth, extreme thirst, frequent urge to urinate, drowsiness, frequent bedwetting, that'd be more common in children, and stomach pain. So with increased thirst and hunger and urination, this happens because insulin is not available and glucose builds up in the body. Kidneys that function to prevent glucose from leaving the body through urination will not be able to work properly due to the high concentration of glucose. When excess sugar is present, fluids from the body tissue are drawn and excreted through urine, and this then leaves the body feeling dehydrated and someone to feel thirsty. Unintended weight loss, mood changes, fatigue, weakness, and blurred vision. These symptoms make sense when we think about our appetites changing. And for females, as we discussed earlier, vaginal yeast infections are very common. This occurs because yeast is drawn to sugar, and when there's extra sugar in the blood, there is more likely to be more in the vagina and other tissues. Therefore, yeast grows better there. So symptoms can be severe, so it's recommended that a record of blood sugar is kept and monitored. There's no treatment to completely get rid of type 1 diabetes, but things that will need to be known is how to recognize and treat high and low blood sugar, how to count your carbohydrates, how to give insulin, and how to adjust insulin and food with exercise. So discussing insulin, it can be taken by a pen or a pump. It cannot work by the mouth. If you were to do it by mouth, the insulin would reach the stomach, but the stomach acid would destroy the insulin before it could even run through the bloodstream. So different amounts of insulin are given depending on exercise or when someone is sick, when consuming more or less calories. And on the right, you can see a picture of an insulin pump. So some medications would be like pramlintide, which is an injection of medication before you eat. This will slow the movement of food through the stomach and will help for high increase of blood sugar that occurs after meals. Another one would be angiotensin, which is a converting enzyme inhibitor. This controls high blood sugar, which also helps with the kidneys, and this is recommended for people that have blood sugar pressure about 140/80. Preventing many short-term complications from happening, then the odds of having long-term complications are reduced. So some short-term effects include blood sugar getting too high or too low, and like the symptoms it causes dizziness, extreme thirstiness, sweating, numbness, and other odd symptoms that do not happen on a daily basis. That is a good sign that something is wrong or abnormal. So, diet to prevent complications. It varies depending on many factors of a person. Counting carbohydrates is important, and aside from balancing carb intake, choosing foods in high fibers, vitamins, minerals, low saturated fats, and sodium are important in a healthy diet. It's important to also eat fruit, just watch portion sizes, and monitor blood glucose level is important to keep your levels between 70 and 130, and after meals, the number should go no higher than 182 hours after consuming a meal. Too high or too low of blood sugar. This is important when glucose is not in a normal range. It can cause problems. When it is too low, you should have something quick on hand like sugar, fruit juice, glucose tablets, hard candy, and avoid foods with added fats because this slows the absorption of sugar down. If blood sugar is too high, it is important to take insulin and drink plenty of water and watch what is consumed in the diet. So with type 1 diabetes, it's a complicated condition that happens to children or young adults when the pancreas is not producing insulin that the body needs to produce energy. There is no way of preventing it and no cure, but there are treatments to help the symptoms. Managing blood sugar can help prevent short and long-term effects from happening, and this includes diet and exercise. If this disease is not taken serious, it can be harmful and ruin one's life, but living healthy, you can live a normal life with type 1 diabetes.